All right, we are live. You can confirm I'm live? Okay. Well, that is good. We'll see how this goes. Stream health. Yeah, okay. Just looking at. All right. I'm just going to give it a minute for people to kind of saunter in. How's everyone doing? I enjoy this parasocial talking into the void, hoping there's a response. It's wonderful. Oh, apparently my channel says great. Yes, and so today we are talking about Google Analytics. Feel free to leave any questions in the chat. You know I'm not registering you as a viewer because you're signed in as the channel. All right, awesome. So today we are going to be talking about Google Analytics. As you can see on the page here, it's going to be Google Analytics. So you've got it installed. Now what? We're going to be talking about, the first tab I always look at for Google Analytics and why I look at that one. We're going to be talking about, the differences between the page screen report and the landing page report and why the difference matters. We're also going to be looking at the conversion paths, and which is, I think, I know that I've spoken to Rena before, who's watching this, that it's one of her favorite ones to look at. It's mine as well. So we're going to be looking at that. And then also out of that, how to build audiences using things like the conversion report. So being able to build retargeting audiences that you're able to use for Google Analytics to really grow the or really fine tune how you use Google Ads and Google Analytics and using the data to actually make informed decisions. Okay, just making sure. Oh, awesome. We also got Aura here. This is great. And so, yeah, so first thing we're going to do is we like to start with like a stat or a quote. And so for this one, we're going to be talking about like why are we looking at Google Analytics? It's basically because almost every website has it installed. It's very powerful. It's very, it can be intimidating, which is why I wanted to kind of give like a, what's the quickest way to look at it and kind of break down how you would be using Google Analytics to kind of make informed decisions. Awesome. And so what we're going to be doing is we're starting off with the traffic acquisition report. This is one that I look at every time I open up Google Analytics. The reason why is because it's telling us where the traffic is and then also which traffic is converting. So you can be spending a ton on Google Ads, but it may not be converting. Well, this is important information because that's going to be costing you money. You might be having specific emails that you're tracking with UTM parameters. So you're going to be able to see that in the Google Analytics. It's going to be very important, if there's something that's broken, maybe, like we've had one client that was spending a ton on Facebook ads. When we went through her report, we showed that they weren't getting any conversions for that, but the Google Ads was actually bringing in high ticket leads. And so that, that meant that she shut that down and then moved all of her money over to the Google Ads. So the traffic acquisition report is super powerful. Of course, you're going to want to have conversions already set up. So conversions are going to be their events. And we'll go into this a little more when I break down the report. They're going to be events that are special. So they've got a little special signifier. And so then they get added to the conversion path report, which we will go over as well. And so, it's going to be super powerful stuff, having the conversion set up. It's going to be one that I'll probably cover in a tag manager episode of teaching like this, where we'll go over how to do event tracking and then making sure that in Google Analytics they're set up as conversions. But you can also have like conversions out of the box that are set up like purchase events. That's for e-commerce. That's going to be one that by default is already turned on as a conversion. And so just hopping into the platform, it's decided to get funky on me. Okay, that is awesome to see so early. And yeah, this is the fun of doing it live, is that sometimes, and especially with Ecamm and sharing screens, like it's gonna be have some funkiness in there. But this is your traffic acquisition report, and the way we get there is you go to reports, and then you'll see under life cycle, you'll see acquisition, and on the left hand vertical menu, and then it's going to be traffic acquisition. And if you're not seeing it, what you need to do is you'll need to scroll down to library, and you'll see these collections.
We're not seeing that.
Oh,
So go down to library, yes.
yeah, so it's going down to the library. Sorry, I got a little ahead of myself. The stream didn't catch up quite with the what you guys were seeing. And so what you'll do is you'll click on library, and if you're not seeing it, you'll probably see this card every time. I've always seen it when it's not visible, that it just says unpublished, and you just need to click in the top right hand corner of the little card and then click on this to say published. Once you do, give it a second and you'll see it pop up over here on the life cycle, and you'll see acquisitions here. This is a really good collection to have because it has your events, your conversions, traffic acquisition, pages, landing pages, all really good reports that you're going to want to look through. So definitely the lifecycle one is one for the win. And so we're going to go back to traffic and acquisitions. And you're going to see right out of the gate, you're going to have these kind of grouped together. This is a new mode that Google Analytics 4 likes to have, and it has to do with the groupings of the systems. They like to have them more concentrated. So it's, instead of Google Organic, Bing Organic, they just group them all together to say organic search. What I find is that it can have some confusing ones, like this cross network is actually Google display ads. And so that's one that it can confuse some of our clients when they're not familiar with these terms. So generally what I like to do is switch over at the top. You can change how these are organized and the top of this column by switching it to session source / medium. This way you're able to see all the different channels kind of individually. And also you'll notice that the cross network disappeared. They all got organized as Google CPC, which is Google Ads. And what you'll see is that we've got it's sorted by users, and so users are an individual person that's come to the website. So this is good for us to know, like, where are we getting the most traffic from? Google Organic, that's good for us to know. And then we also have sessions. So a user can have multiple sessions, and that's just a 30-minute window in which they've had activity on the website. From there, we've got engaged sessions. So maybe they just loaded up the page and then they left right away, so they're not engaged. These are people that have, like, in their session, they actually clicked on something. They spent more than 10 seconds on the website. You know, these are important that we know that people are actually engaging with it. So, and you're always going to have some percentage that just doesn't fully engage with the website, and that's fine. All we want to know is that people are engaging, and that also that there's conversions that are happening out of that. And so we're looking for the average engagement time. So, like, how long are they staying engaged with the website from that channel? You also have to remember that this is on an average. So you're going to have these 5,000 unengaged sessions. So they're going to be probably out of there pretty quickly. Those are going to drag down your numbers. So anything but like a minute for this, it looks pretty good for us on average, because you have so many zeros or low numbers that are dragging down the average. And so this is also a good metric to kind of keep an eye on. It's not one I spend a lot of time worrying about, but it's good to have it there. And so you're looking at how many people of those of the users are actually engaged users as well. So just getting a good healthy ratio, so that way you know that maybe something's broken on your website. I can let you know about that one as well. So we've got events per session. So an event, one thing to know is that in Google Analytics 4, everything is event based. You load a page, that's an event. There's a bunch of metadata that goes around it, like, the URL, other information like that as well could be important for you to keep track of. And so, yeah, we have, you're going to have some metadata around that event. That's going to be important, but also like clicking on something, scrolling to the bottom of a page, starting a video, completing a video. These are all events that are also being tracked, and they count as well. So I'd like to make sure that there's a healthy amount of events that are going on from a channel. But even more important is the number of conversions. And you can also see here, you can sort them by specific. So we have like a, information request from the client on the client's website. So this is, which channel actually drove the most of those conversions. Of course, this is only going to catch the last click in the pattern. The conversion paths will help us along every step along that journey that person might have taken before they actually converted. So this is good to know with just sort of as a general rule to just sort of say like, oh, which channel is actually driving the last click and the last conversion. One other thing that's super powerful as well that will trip you up if you're not used to it, but they always set it to the default. It's 10 rows in the report, and you can do that up to 250. I like to have it fully extended out just in case there's something that's, there's some weird ones like, or, for example, we can see here that I've set the Facebook CPC, meaning paid ads from Facebook, and we've gotten 4 conversions from them. So that's super important because we weren't even supposed to be driving traffic to that page, but somehow they were still getting the conversion. So that's going to be important for us to know. And other things of just like, maybe there's certain referral traffic that's actually converting fairly well. Just important stuff to keep track of when you're looking at this stuff. And so what that means is the next part we're going to look at is like the individual pages and what's the pages and screens report, what it's telling us versus the landing page report. Now, the big difference between them is the landing page it's only tracking the first entry point. So why this matters is because there might be a difference in the number of conversions between one report and another. Awesome. And so we've got also some questions as well. So we've got, how much do you need in order to make the meaningful? What if you only have 500 visitors? Well, it's definitely one of, maybe if you're looking at something about like, you've only got a small number of people, well, maybe there's a targeted amount that are converting. So you may be and you're also looking at where you're spending your time. So if I'm posting all the time on Facebook organically and I'm getting no conversions from it, well, maybe that's a time to look at posting on LinkedIn and seeing about that. So what you're trying to do is determine which channel is actually driving the most conversions, even if it's a very small number, because you maybe only need 1 or 2 conversions to really make it worth it. And so there might be a channel that's actually outperforming as a conversion rate, meaning that the number of conversions divided by the number of sessions is a higher percentage. And so maybe there's a channel that may not be driving very much traffic, but it's driving conversions. Well, I would probably double down on that channel. So that's kind of a way that I would look at it, where maybe there's something that isn't driving traffic or very much traffic, but it is doing really well. Well, maybe we want to redouble our efforts. And so the other thing that's really useful that when I was doing some more research as well, is if you are doing Google Ads and you're doing Performance Max, which is what Google pushes everyone to do these days, and you've turned on final URL expansion, so Google gets to determine which final URL people land on. Looking at the landing page report is going to be super useful for you, because you might be seeing that Google's driving traffic to a certain page and it's not converting. Well, maybe that's something where what we could do is look at driving more conversion or optimizing the page for conversions. So that'll be something that'll be useful for, you know, if there's like an anomaly or something like that. And also it might be something where you don't want Google to send traffic there. So then in your performance max, you can tell it, do not use this page as a URL. And it might be a way to kind of hone and fix or tighten your campaigns, because performance max is, not to go off on a tangent, is a good plot. It can work really well, but there's a lot of issues with it. And if you just blindly go in, Google will gladly take your money with it. So it's one to just keep in mind. So going into the landing page report. So this is, so we started off here, pages and screens.
I share your screen?
Yeah. Are you seeing it?
No. I'm seeing landing pages report shows.
Yeah, we're in pages and screens.
No, I'm seeing you with just the slide deck. Oh, there you go.
Oh. Okay.
There, perfect.
Okay. You know there's going to be a delay for you catching it as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so we started off in pages and screens here. And what I've done, I was just playing around with this one, is we could start off with looking at, you know, which page is getting the most people to it. So what's important here is that you're going to get a difference in the just going to quickly move myself. 1 second. So the big difference we've got here is that you're seeing conversions, and the conversion number with the URL that you'll see over here, you'll see a difference between this and the landing page. So you're almost guaranteed for this one. If I sort by conversions, this is the request. You can see that says got request. So that request info conversion is going to be on this page. So they're probably not, they didn't land on that page, but that page is getting all the conversions. So what we want to do is see what page did they land on and then convert it for that. So maybe there might be some step that we need to double check that we expected them to make it to this page from a blog post or, you know, our homepage. And we just need to make sure that the connection is super simple for them to make it to this page where we want them to convert. So by comparison, we're going to take a look at, oh, actually, I wanted to also show. So one other thing, kind of building off of what we saw at the building off of the traffic and acquisition, is you can even split out the traffic that's come to a certain page and then convert it. So for example, all you have to do is hit the plus icon in the top right of this column. It's going to be pages and paths and screen class. Oh, also one thing to touch on is you might get weirded out by the name screen class. It's actually a relic of what the original platform was called. So this used to be called Firebase Analytics. It was built as a app, kind of it does all the server and the back end for you on an app, and then you just have to integrate with this. And so it gave you all the analytics. And so it kind of has the relic of when it was just for apps of having screen. And you'll see that kind of in the naming conventions. And it's just a holdover from the before they fully converted it to Google Analytics 4. And so to add, you can add a secondary dimension by clicking on this plus icon. And we have a ton of options here. My favorite that I always go to is clicking on traffic source. And then going to cross channel. They just changed this recently, and I love that they don't tell us when they do change those things. Kidding, of course. And then we're going to go to session source in medium. So what this is going to do is it's going to sort these. It's going to have the page that we're looking at, but it's also splitting out by by the source and medium. So in this case, I'm going to sort them. You hover next to the name. You could do that with any of these ones, any column. You could just go up to the left-hand side of it, and then there'll be a little sorting arrow, and you just click on that, and you'll be able to see. So you can't really see this, but these three are all actually the same URL that are here, but it's split it out by the traffic and what traffic it's actually converted. And oh, move myself again over to here, just to make it easier for you guys to see. And so over here we have the same URL was reached by 3 different marketing channels. So super important for us to make sure that be able to see that that's going on, and also be able to determine, because now we can see, our Google Organic actually had a conversion from this. So that's important for us to know, is that our SEO is doing well in order to get that conversion. And so when we're on, so that was the pages and screens, and the landing page report, it looks remarkably similar. Honestly, they're nearly identical. So that's why I kind of wanted to bring it to your attention. Like, why are they giving us these 2 nearly identical reports? And that's the important part, is that these are showing where people come to your website. What pages are they landing on first? Because it's going to be super valuable for you guys to know, like, maybe there's some page that's actually getting a lot of traffic, but it doesn't link properly to the pages you want people to get to. So that's super important for you guys. Like, maybe there's a blog post and you're expecting it to go to like a product page. Well, this is a super good way for you to find out, I'm getting all these people to this page, but I don't see them converting on the next page. So that way you can go through the page, make sure it's like linking properly. It gives you an idea through the numbers on what you expect people to be doing on the website and what they're actually doing. And so that leads us to the conversion paths. This is going to be a super important report that kind of, now we've seen like which page in that session that they converted. So that the pages and screens report only does it for the last session that converted. Maybe there's multiple steps though. Maybe there's multiple emails you're getting people engaged with. And so that way what we do is we use the conversion path report. So it shows us the multiple steps that people took before they converted there. And it really helps with making sure that, maybe there's a certain email that's it's actually driving in your funnel, that's actually driving a lot of the conversions, the final step. Maybe you want to make it more prominent. Maybe there's one of them that's not actually converting as well. And you might want to look at how you can tighten up how those are being engaged with. Yeah, and Aura's just asking if we're purposely blocking. Yes, just for privacy of the client. It's just for their own sake of showing their names. And I just want to make sure we are ready for this. And let's take a look at the conversion paths. So to get to the conversion paths, you're just going to go to advertising, and then they used to actually make this really hidden, and it was kind of difficult to get to, but now it's super easy, which is I super appreciate. And then you go to the very bottom here, conversion paths. And so they kind of lay out a chart here on how, if you have multiple steps, they're kind of letting you know, like, hey, maybe there's a lot of your traffic. So for example, this one has almost 70% of its traffic converts that last touch point. So it's good information for us that maybe there are multiple steps, and maybe we want to unify our messaging, make it simpler, and figure out where in that journey they're first touching, making contact with us. And again, they do the primary grouping channel. This one you can, again, of course, click to unfortunately, they don't allow you to just do source/medium. You kind of have to have either source or medium. So generally, I leave this one as the channel grouping because I get a pretty good idea on what these are referring to. The other thing you'll see is we've got the conversions. Purchase revenue. So if you do have e-commerce functionality added and it's giving back the data, really useful for us to determine, one channel is actually not converting very much, but making us a lot of money. Super useful for us. And of course, this one was also built with, as you can kind of see on the screen, of the in-app purchases, subscriptions minus refunds. So it was more purpose built for an app that was taking payments on it. Another fun one that we'll see more as we go through this is, I'll scroll up a little bit. So we have days to conversion. So we had one client that they were a school, and they would frequently have people spending up to 60 days before they click to call them, and like dozens of visits to the website. So you might be seeing, lots of steps in the journey, lots of days between. Most times, you're probably going to see around 1 day conversion. That's kind of more typical, but that just helps to reinforce maybe there's something you need to do with your messaging or your paid advertisement that kind of deals with any of the features blocking someone from making that final step. And then also the number of touch points. So like I said, with that previous example, they had 60 days. There were almost 24 times they were coming to the website organically. They were typing it into Google, coming to the website from organic. So it was a lot of steps. And you'll see some interesting ones here as well that, this person has. Oh, and also much like how we kind of filtered for conversions up here, you can also filter for individual conversion types. And then what we can do, I have them selected for the forms getting filled out, which I find is very useful because it's very tangible for the client that, they have the forms that got filled out with that information. And so that's the one we usually look at. And so you can see some interesting ones of, paid search, organic search. We had 5 conversions with that. It took them 2 days on average, and there was 3 touch points, which is, it's good for us to keep track of that. Same for this one where we had paid social. Again, the forms getting filled out, we weren't even driving traffic to it. So what can happen is that you can also have conversions. So say in this example, we actually have like a dedicated landing page with its own form, but we were finding that we were wondering with this client, hey, if maybe they get the ad and then later on they search organically, maybe that's happening, and we need to be tracking that in order we can attribute more value to our ads are doing even better job by getting these people that came to the landing page, saw the stuff, and for whatever reason they just came back organically to the website and then they converted. So in this case, you can see here on row 6, we've got paid search and organic search. So that's exactly what was happening. And so we got to get more, we got to toot our horn a bit better because we could say that we were driving even more conversions. Same for the paid social. They had their own dedicated landing page, but people were still coming to the website and converting from the paid ads. So it's always important, again, to see these paths because it might be something you don't even expect. One other thing that I wanted to touch on about these is these numbers, the percentages. So this is because Google is using a strictly data-driven solution or data-driven model for this. And what data-driven means is as good a guess as anyone's. They don't tell us much information on, this. When they came from the paid search, they clicked 3 times. Like, they don't give an explanation. So I would take them very much with a grain of salt until they give us more information. They've been getting better a little bit of explaining what's going on with these data-driven approaches, but they haven't fully revealed it. So I would take it with a bit of a grain of salt until we have more information from them. Because how am I supposed to know that, 43% of the conversion was organic and 57 was a paid ad? What's determining these things? And they don't really tell you. Yeah, and you'll get fun ones like this where we've had 2 people that looked us up 8 times, saw a display ad, and then looked us up another 2 times over the course of 11 days with 11 touch points in between. So these can be important pieces of information for you guys as well. Also, this will have important information if you're using a sophisticated email marketing campaign to go with this. And so, but now that we've kind of got like an idea of like, okay, people are taking long paths to get there. Okay, so maybe I need to retarget them better and define a little bit better the who I'm targeting with the retargeting ads. Not just anyone that visits any page, but I want to have specific people that came to one of my a group of pages or even a specific page and didn't convert. How am I going to do that for Google Ads? Well, in Google Analytics 4, you are going to do audience building. And so the audiences, you'll need to have Google signals enabled. And parenthetically, you want to make sure that when you do, you have a privacy policy in place because Google will. And so Google will want to make sure that you have a privacy policy in place that and is up to date and is compliant with their own rules. And an audience is basically what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at it like it's like Venn diagrams kind of. You're going to have a circle and then that includes a certain subsect of the people. So visited a certain page. And then we're also going to exclude a small subset of that group. So it's going to be another little circle that's going to get excluded. And that group is going to be, people that have converted. Generally, you don't want to annoy anyone that's already, they've already filled out the form. They've already given you their information. You don't want to annoy them more. And also one really important thing is this is not retroactive. You need to set these up early, especially if you know that you have a certain landing page that you're driving paid traffic to. You're going to need 1,000 people in that pool in order to make this really effective. And so the earlier you have these set up, the better it's going to be. So if you are aware of a certain landing page that you're going to have a lot of traffic to, set that up as soon as you can. And so when going into, so this is the audience tab. Why did that not work? So this is the audience tab. And to get to it, you're going to go to admin in the bottom left-hand corner. And then from the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see property settings here. And then you'll see data display as an option. And then under it, you'll see audiences. You're also going to see your events and your conversions. And so in this case, we've already set up a few audiences. You're going to always have purchasers and all users by default. So these are ones that are out of the box. Google just creates for you. And like I said, these are useful for out of the gate. So you're always going to be collecting all users, but maybe we want to get a little more detailed. And so what we're going to do, you can also export them. So if you need to bring them over to a new account, super easy for you to do that. But new audiences is the button we're going to click to build a new audience. So in here, we've got there's a bunch of kind of templated ones that people have. Let me turn off. All right, that makes it a little easier for you guys to see. Okay, so we've got recently active users, non-purchasers, so there's a bunch of different conditions that are being put in here. We also have other ones that are, cart abandoners, people who finish the tutorials. Generally, I kind of build my own from scratch because it's just more specific that way for myself. But these are definitely ones to explore and kind of play around with. You also have these predictive ones. And so obviously we would need to have a certain number of users that are activating certain e-commerce events. These are all e-commerce based. And so again, these are super useful for app users because they're generally doing the churn and they're doing, top spenders, that kind of stuff, which is more relevant for them. But you can also just build your own from scratch, which is what we're going to do right now. So when you open up the uh, your own custom audience builder, what you're going to see is you can give it a title, a short description. They even got a help. Let me move my face on here. Just gonna move myself over here. Okay, so we've also got a help center. So this would be useful for, it goes into much more detail about kind of what to expect, what these all mean. But we're going to cover a good portion of them for you right here today. And the other thing is we're going to have the audience settings. So how long are they staying in this audience? I like to set it to maximum. You might find that 30 days, something like that, is going to be the optimum for yourself. And then, or there's also going to be this really helpful summary page. So remember how we talked about Venn diagrams? We're going to get to have a nice visual representation of it when we're building this audience. So, and like I said, this is going to be about include and exclude statements. So the condition, we're going to add a new condition. And in this case, what I'm going to do is this client has, we're going to use pages and screens because we want to have a collection of pages. And so, and see again, here we got the weird screen class. We also have query strings. So if they, they searched a certain term, maybe we want to collect those people as well. And just so you guys know, the page path is the URL. That's the thank-u kind of that part of it. Whereas page title would be the title of the page. So maybe you want to have any page title that includes SEO or coaching, something like that. You can also use words like that. But for this case, I'm just going to use the page path. And when we do, we're going to have the filter. So I like to have contains. It's very flexible. You can do exact, but you need to make sure that you're exact. We also have does not match. So we can have anyone that everyone else on the website except these people. Generally, I go with, you want to have it inclusive. So in this case, I'm going to do contains. And then they have it written as, so this is going to be, so what I'm doing, nothing. Okay. I always get tripped up with that one. So we're doing any page on their website that contains the two words New Westminster. And so in that case, it actually has a nice helpful. We can see how many people got included in this. We can also see how many sessions were involved. And so what we want to do now is have a group that gets excluded from this. So to do that, we're going to add a group to exclude. Oh, and you can also add sequencing. So you can have multiple steps that would cause them to get added to this group. I would not play with that too much. It's one of those ones you can overthink it too much and accidentally break it. So I try to keep it as simple as possible. Like one include, one exclude should be sufficient for you guys. I'm sure there is a use case for doing multiple sequences, but when you're first starting out, make it simple for yourself. And so in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to have the event is going to be the one that we exclude. And so there's going to be some ones that are here by default. So these are all default events that are on the back end that we have access to. And then we have this one set as the event we've defined and we've given it into their system. And so we can see now we've included 31K, 3.1K, and then we've excluded 30K here on the right hand side. And then all you need to do is US accept conversion. And you can leave yourself a description on more details about it down here. But yeah, and then you just hit save. And and then that one is now here. And so now we're going to want to see it get changed. You've also got the date it was created on to kind of let you know how new it is and how frequently it's been updated. Okay. And that's kind of, looking at the big four of things that I look at when I'm looking at Google Analytics. Just as a simple overview of just sort of like, this is a way that you guys can get in there and be able to look at your traffic, the pages that are converting or not converting, seeing the steps along the journey that they're taking, and then building new audiences for Google Ads that you can target people that way. So do we have any questions? It looks like we don't have a ton of questions. But that is okay. I mean, feel free to leave a comment later on if you're watching this video. And I'm definitely more than happy to answer any question you guys have about Google Analytics. All right. And that's it for me. I'm Phelan Lewis with Seymour Digital Media. Feel free to join. Keep an eye out here for more live videos. And we also have a community that will be in Kajabi that we'll be doing as part of like a Q&A that we'll be having. And we'll leave some posts about that in the future.